Hello, everyone, and welcome to this event. My name is Anne-Gaëlle Stalio. I'm an associate professor of Romance Studies and the director of the Center for French and Francophone Studies at Duke. And it's my great pleasure and honor to be welcoming Rithy, Panh and Marc Marder today as part of a series of events on hospitality, migration, and memory that are going to continue in the incoming weeks. Just a few words on the organization. So this is going to be maybe a bilingual conversation. We will try to maintain, at times there might be a bit of translation. And there will be the opportunity for the audience to engage with our guests. And you can also use the chat feature of the Zoom to send your questions. And before we start, I would also like to remind everyone that this online event, like all events organized by the Center, are only made possible thanks to some institutional support, among which the Cultural Services of the French Embassy in the US and the Office of the Deans of Arts and Sciences at Duke. And my special thanks today to Gabriel Richard for having organized this dialogue exploring music and cinema. And I think that was also thanks to Marc that this was, Marc Marder, that this was made possible. So thank you very much. And I'm just going to give a very brief introduction of our guest. So Rithy Panh was born in Phnom Penh and is one of the most acclaimed documentary filmmakers today. A former student of La Femis, he created a unique body of work consisting of documentaries and feature films that mostly deal with modern Cambodia and the traumatic legacy of the Khmer Rouge regime. L'image manquante, the missing image, missing picture from 2013 became the first Franco-Cambodian film nominated for an Academy Award as Best Foreign Language Film. Rithy Panh developed Bofana, an audiovisual resource center in Cambodia, with an aim towards preserving the country's filmic, photographic, and audio history. Rithy Panh, please mute your video. Okay. Sorry about that. So Rithy Panh received an honorary doctorate in 2011 from the University of Paris 8. And in 2012, published his acclaimed autobiography, L'Élimination. In 2014, he received the Preservation and Scholarship Award from the International Documentary Association. And he recently published a book with Christophe Bataille, La paix avec les morts, The Peace with the Dead, which deals with the possibility of vivre ensemble post-genocide. So most of Rithy Panh's films are documentaries centering on the history of the Khmer Rouge and forms of neocolonialism in contemporary capitalist Cambodia, as well as addressing issues of memory and remembrance. His first documentary film, Side 2, was about a family of Cambodian refugees in a camp on the Thai-Cambodian border in the 1980s. His 1994 film, Rice People, is told in a docudrama style about a rural family struggling with life in post-Khmer Rouge Cambodia. The 2000 documentary, The Land of the Wandering Soul, shows Cambodia entering the modern age, chronicling the hardships of workers digging a cross-country trench for Cambodia's first optical fiber cable. In 2003, documentary S21, The Khmer Rouge Killing Machine, about the Khmer Rouge Troll Slang prison, reunited former prisoners, including the artist Van Nat and their former captors, for a confrontational review of Cambodia's violent history. In 2012, he also made a documentary about Dutch, a former leader in the Khmer Rouge. Is one of his last documentaries, though I've been told that it's not the very last one, the one that was released in 2020, Irradiated, premiere in Berlin men's competition and takes a wider scope on global atrocity encompassing Nazi regime and the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Marc Marder. Marc Marder is a musician from New York, now living in Paris. As a double bassist, he performed as third chair at the Mostly Mozart Festival in Lincoln Center, New York, and as a member of the French National Orchestra conducted by Leonard Bernstein and Lorraine Mazel. Besides performing in many different styles of music, he has composed music for over 100 films. and he has composed the scores for, I think, correct me, Marc, if I'm not correct, but 23 films of Rithy Panh. Is that 23 or 24?
Probably, yeah, that's about right. Probably 24 now.
Maybe 24 now, which are both documentaries and fiction. And he has been with him at the Cannes Festival in the official selection 6 times. And The Missing Picture, on which we are going to concentrate today, won the prize of Un Certain de Regard selection and was nominated for an Oscar, as we said, for the foreign film selection. And for the score of The Missing Image, he won the prize of Best Film Music awarded by the SACEM on the French National Radio. And Marc Marder has also composed the music of Irradiated, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So I think now that we have introduced our guests, we might want to start the conversation. And first of all, thank you for having accepted our invitation. And I have a very basic question to start with is, how did you meet and how do you work together? Because there is it seems to me that it's a history of friendship and collaboration. And I think it would be very interesting to know more about the backstage on the history of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Rithy came over to the house one evening because the mother of my children did an interview with Rithy at the time, maybe one of the first for the French newspaper Le Monde. Okay. Where she was a theater critic, and she did an interview with Rithy, and so we were having dinner actually, and I played him a piece that I really liked on the double bass, and I guess he really liked the sound, and he said, "Would you like to do music? I'm doing my student finishing film, whatever it's called, the end of studies film." So we started like that, exactly at a dinner.
So,
and he, yeah.
How many years?
I think. How many years? 100 years ago. Yes. So
no, because 80.
Okay.
Wow, it's a long time ago.
So 25 years. Yeah.
More than
35? Than that. Yeah, no, more than that. No. Mistaken, we're in 2021.
Yeah, 35 years ago.
35 years.
35. Yeah.
For a first film. Exactly. Because I really wanted to. I was playing the bass. I had done one film in college, in university in the States, in New York. And I really loved it doing that. And then I went off and played bass. I came to Paris. I was in the Boulez Orchestra. And I didn't write at all. And I really was dreaming about composing again. And just at that time, Rithy came to dinner, and it was a real opportunity to, it's really me asking Rithy, would you like some music for your film? And it got me back to starting composing again, actually, years later.
And Rithy Panh, so what is your side of
It was interesting because he played with the double bass, but it sounds like cello. Sometimes he beat his double bass, or he do many things, strange things to his double bass. And I think that maybe I have not known it. This guy can play battery with his instrument, can play horn, can do anything. Yeah. Can play drum, or I see very no, it's a beautiful sound that Marc can do with his instruments. Very, very beautiful. It's amazing, and I think that it's difficult to work together with me, especially not with other film director. because nobody knows exactly what really I want. And at the beginning, it's very difficult for Marc because I did not give him the film. I just asked him to play what he can imagine from, I don't know, sometimes I give him two, three phrases or some indication. And so he doesn't know how long the music I need, what is the sequence is about. It's very, very difficult for him. But at the beginning of our cooperation, really, with I think it's with the Rice people. We made side 2, etc. before, but with Rice people, we have some small production. We have some money, so Marc spent a few weeks in Cambodia, and I just want him to be there and to listen to the sound of the rice field, the sound of the Cambodian music instruments. And sometimes he captures some melody from the people who play in the street, in the village, or in school. And it's very interesting for me to first to feed him our sensibility and our way of feeling the nature, the human being relationship. And the Cambodian music instrument is very complicated, no? It sounds like the four, no? Like the mi mesure, no? Marc?
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
it's
like
not easy to adapt.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there's go ahead.
No. It just continue.
I think that we are.
No, I just wanted to.
There are very few to understand that. I think that there are maybe through 3 or 4 or 5 people like Marc that who are capable to do something with this kind of sound. And that is the first step of our cooperation. It's very complicated for him. And after that, I am very pleased to have somebody like Marc because he, more than a composer, he really gives me a gift, because I have the total freedom to edit his music. He did already, but I did again. At some time today, for example, last film, for example, you know, I think that you compose for more than 1 hour and a half, no, of music.
Oh yeah.
And it's very, very a lot of work, and so I did it again, and you know, it's much more easier to work with somebody else, that you give you the film, start here, he can compose, it's maybe more easy and more creative also for him as musician to see the image on the screen and to work with it. But
yeah, which I was going to say at the very beginning also. After the student film, I remember this so well. At the student film was over, and I said, "What are you going to do now, Rithy?" And he said, "I'm going to do 2 documentaries and a fiction." And it was exactly like that from the beginning, just a beginning, you know. So, and I think, yeah, when we started working, it was how to make sound for films without making illustrative folklore type sounds. You know, we had to find a kind of musical language that would not be trying to do Cambodian sounding music, but it kind of has a feeling. So it was it was a lot of studying at the beginning about, and the trip to Cambodia for rice people was essential actually that week, and I really didn't want to go. Scary. It was really
that
scary.
it's not really a score, you know that I mean. It's
No,
not a score
no.
that open the window, no, close the window. It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's not illustration or a score for the normal film, you know. And so it's like sometimes it's like a voice, sometimes it's like a soul wandering here and there, and it's depend what happened in his mind, in my mind. Sometimes I have some dream. I send him a words or a picture. Sometimes a picture. Now with WhatsApp, it's much more easy. I send him picture from sometime when one place that it's no relation with the film, but I take a picture and send it to him. You know, so it's he start to work in his mind, like, you know.
So
little clues, little hints. It really does work. Yes.
So you really, it's you know, drawing from what you're saying, it seems that it's really a collaborative process that is extremely working more on the notion of atmosphere than what Rithy was saying, a score, or, you know, like not music used as a narrative function, but more as a form of ambience. And I think that's a very specific way of using music.
Kind of as a character, maybe as another character or characters in the film. Yes. And not only say ambience, but, you know.
So let's say as a character. I have one specific question, because Rithy, you often mention that you have been very deeply marked and influenced by Hiroshima Mon Amour by Alain Resnais, which has a very specific score. From what I've read, you know, and I was wondering if the specific score of Hiroshima might have had an impact on your own conception of music in your film. So that's a very specific question. Or if that's something you haven't really been.
A lot of people have impact on me, you know. A lot of people. I sometimes a man is very easy to influence, to give me some influence, you know, to make me do what you want. Very original one, you know. So at certain point that now I refuse to see the film, because if I see the film of somebody, I will do the same. So I prefer not to go to cinema now. I limit my viewing of the film to very classical film, and it's okay. And or I spend a lot of hours to watch a documentary on the documentary channel, or what on geography or something like that. I just sometimes I put Rambo, you know, with a lot of sound to sleep. It's much more of the how to sleep, how to live, and how to chase all the noises in my mind. So everything is complicated. That of course Alain Resnais or Chris Marker or the guy like that influenced me a lot. But in terms of sometimes I pay tribute to them. You know, in last film I show few frames of Godard and few images from La Jetée, and because they gave me a lot of freedom. I think that that I learned from this guy is freedom. When you see Alain Resnais film, what it's look like very young man making film, no, not the old one. I saw when you see some old film directors, like very old man making film, very. But that we try to work with Marc is this one, you know, it's this way that we discover things when we are working as a process of creativity, or like a process of soul or healing for me. So I work very, very late at night, and sometimes I send him a sequence, and he do something with the music that I will not put in this sequence. Sometimes just maybe I did not like very much what he sent to me, so I take Richard Strauss or something like that, Zarathustra speech, something like that, to put on my image and send it to him. And just see, do Richard Strauss. You put Richard Strauss in every image that work. But you are not making a film with the music. You put you take Mozart and you shoot a candle, you put Mozart, it's work. And but it's not the film. It's a music work. You put Coney Island or Lou Reed on traveling on the street, it works. So I'm not interested by this kind of thing. So that what I try to do with Marc is this one, I give him something I feed him, you know, like a little bird, and he flies, you know. He flies. When he cut the flight, oh, good. It's amazing that you see the wing, you know. He start to fly with his music. So I capture very rare few moments like that. I continue again and again. So that wise for 1 and 20 film, 1 and 20 minutes film. He composed for me more than nearly 2 hours film. So music.
I'm really very much in agreement with the use of very known music for images. It's an amazing thing in that if you're watching a film and you hear a Beethoven 7th Symphony, all of a sudden you're not in the film anymore. You're in the first time you ever heard Beethoven Symphony, and it's true. It becomes like a video clip and a silly thing. Very, very against. I just can't stand that when you do that. The magical thing I thought was the missing picture. Was working on that because it was Rithy would. I mean, you'd send me clips. There would be I'd do some music like that. And you'd send a clip of 5 minutes, and then it was like and then 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes. And I had a friend at the house once, a guy, a translator, and the film was on, the 15 minutes, and he couldn't stop watching it. It was just so fascinating. We kept going for a few months, I guess, and the film became a film in a way that I didn't even know we were working on a film. It just became this. And then I remember the night I called the producer, Catherine Dussard, and I said, Catherine, when are we going to start? And she said, it's over, it's done. Arte has accepted it, it's done. The film finished, it was like a dream. I couldn't believe it. It was like, poof, there we are. That's working with Rithy. It's like, it's really something, it's just this process.
In fact, nobody knows what film have you made.
No.
Even myself. Missing picture was not missing picture at the beginning. I want to make a film about the Khmer Rouge propaganda picture images, and it's become a fishing picture. The problem is when I decide to change the idea, and that we are very lucky, in fact, that we have a producer that follow me everywhere. So it's not if I went to see a producer, I say, hey, yeah, I want to make a film about Khmer Rouge genocide with the clay figurine that's don't move. No, it's not animation. They don't move. They rest fixed. And nobody gives me money. For sure. That that's why I'm very depressed even now, because I get start to film maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and producer asked me a few lines that I am very sorry. It's painful for me. It's very painful. It's not I act like a child. Because it forced me to lie again, to write something fast that I really don't know myself what can be this film. So no, for 3 months now, I look like I don't want to speak to nobody. I don't want to see nobody. I take some pills to sleep. It's very, very painful. Why? I know that production is money, time is money, everything is money. And it's very difficult to find money to make a film. And especially the kind of film. But if making film is not freedom, but it is. That's, like you, I want just peace, I don't want to make film. I want just to be free, I go to cinema like somebody go to church, and singing and praying, and like to liberate yourself. But how to explain it to people? How? So I don't know. No, I am not capable to tell Marc today that, oh, I go to the forest, and through 3 weeks, he will ask me what kind of film you do.
What's your next film about? Where's the script? what's the script?
That's I can't tell him read Levi-Strauss.
Yeah.
Something like that. Go back to Levi-Strauss and call me.
Yeah,
it's like that. It's not like acting like a big ego. It just sits by. I think that I will disappear faster than people think, because the industry now is not like that at all.
Rare. It's very rare, this style.
It's now maybe I'm lucky because frankly, because I have some award from this festival, this honor, so people respect me a little bit. But in fact, in terms of economic and industry, nothing. It's not interesting.
Even the irradiated film, at the beginning, Rithy, you'd be sending clips also, pieces of either photos or pieces of the film. And I would call because Rithy was in Cambodia, so I'd call Catherine, our producer, here, and I say, well, what's it about? Have you seen these images? And she said, I have no idea. So she also doesn't. No one really. Everyone feels the film from these bits of film, and then it gets going. That's how Rithy works. It's very rare these days.
I really admire this way of working. That going back to the missing picture. It has such a specific dispositif, with the clay figurines, with the clay figures, and the materiality of those figurines in relation with the materiality of memory. But my question was, did you have any idea, Marc, that there were clay figurines used in the film when you composed the music?
Yes, yes, yes.
You knew, because
yeah, because I kept getting little clips.
Just little clips of so you knew that there was a specific use of the materials that I think is part of the I mean, which makes it really a remarkable film, because this is really about modeling memory as the figurines are being modeled, but it's also modeling a traumatic memory. And of course, this brings me to the question of the relation between memory and music, and trauma and music. And if that's something that you have in mind, and that's also a question for you, but that's a question for Rithy. What is your relation between the process of memorization and remembrance and music, and your use of music? Because in the missing picture, there are also, you know, there are your own composition, Marc, but there are also sometimes clips from music from the 1960s Cambodia.
Yes.
So they are, so yeah. And there is this wonderful line at some point that Rithy says, "L'enfance, c'est une ritournelle. Childhood is like a refrain." And there is also the, in addition to music, the mixing of sounds to create a sonorous environment. So I would like to hear you about, you know, memory, music, the materiality of memory, its relation with the ritournelle, with the repetition, and the expression of the trauma.
Music, it's traumatic. It's a traumatic profession. No, I think music is all about memory. It evokes, it can evoke and provoke everyone's memory if it's the right music at the right time, on the right scene in a film or in a right place. It always will provoke a souvenir, a certain nostalgia, a certain it's extremely personal, because it will provoke in everyone their own personal reaction to what they've lived, what this music means for them, what they could have heard as a child, their education, their cultural education, their musical education. Yeah, the thing is to try and capture that in composing music for image.
One thing that maybe we work well together is also I'm not French, but I'm also French. France saved me, gave me rebirth again. I was uprooted from Cambodia. I'm a Buddhist, I'm not Prakteks, but my family is, you know, we are Buddhist. Marder is a Jewish family, come from New York, abroad to Paris. You know, we are something like irradiated already by our family history. You know,
my family would always say, Rithy, just a little parentheses. Yeah. My parents would always say, "Oh yeah, the people who stayed in Europe, we don't know. They're gone. They were gone in the camp." You know, that kind of, they didn't know. There was no, it's completely uprooted. You know,
we are all irritated by that. So it's yes, I have no need to explain to Marc what is genocide. I never talked to him really what is a Cambodian genocide or something like that, you know. It happened to me to send to him some poetry, some phrase, some picture, but we don't talk about genocide, but we understand very well what it means in terms of trauma or memory or the necessity or to capture in It's like it's not feeling like sound from something come from inside, deep inside. That image cannot do, or writing cannot do with that. Sometimes sound music can bring something that image cannot, or words cannot express that. That's why you have writer, you have film director, you have musician, and it's for me it's interesting for me to combine this. So I can, I try to combine this sound. I don't use the music on, and when you see the title he sent to, or to his music he sent to me, like Jakarta. What Jakarta do in this missing picture? Jakarta, San Francisco, or something like that. Like it's like a guy who travel a lot in no route, nowhere, and it's like he travel from one city to another one, and in his baggage is all his memory and all his pain. It's very interesting to put Jakarta. Sometimes I put Jakarta with India, or Jakarta with San Francisco. I take only two sound of bears from Jakarta to put with the music for San Francisco. That's I work on the Marc music like I edit images. I can take only one track like this, another one like this, and and or sometimes 2, 3, 4 music together. And he's very. I like to thank, really, because it's a gift that I said before, that he accept. That's why I don't want to change musician to composer.
Yeah.
We have questions from someone in the audience, and I would like to have the opportunity to have questions from the students who have watched your film, who have the missing pictures. So there is a question from Caroline Laurent, and maybe Caroline, you can unmute yourself and use your video if you want, and ask your question, or I could read it. No? Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I had a question that was following your question about this kind of repetition and trauma. And I had a question, it's not exactly the music, but it's related in terms of repetition in the narration. So for instance, in the missing picture, you start with the repetition of Je me souviens. And then you list things that you remember. And I was wondering if you were looking for rhythm in the narration, and what is the purpose of this repetition, and also its musicality in many ways.
No, I'm not really a theorician for that.
Repetition,
Because really I make the film. I always surprised how people see the film and give me idea. Sometimes I discover myself the new idea on my own film. What I like to do is I repeat every time, every night. I see again and again some sequence of my life, into past, into future, into my dream. Everything is mixed. Sometimes I see today, sometimes nothing from this world, but something far. Sometimes it's the same people in the past come back again and again. I don't fight against this image anymore. I try just to live with that. I try just to cooperate and to be in peace with this kind of repetition image, je me souviens, etc. In fact, je me souviens every day. at every time, at every moment. And that why I told you that I have a lot of things to. I regret that I cannot meet Chris Marker. That is this guy teach me to liberate myself. Yeah. So I have the possibility to meet him, but I'm so scary to meet him because it's so great monument that I regret now. And I use this kind of how savoir-faire, of these people, like knowledge or practice, yes, of these people, and to experience myself, in the Irradiated, the film that it will be released maybe soon, not the last one, but before. And I was in Switzerland in the lab to see how people study the transmission of the trauma. And they put the mouse in the very extreme violence environment, like sound, lights, and they observe that the mouse has no social relationship with other mouse. They stay alone, very depressed, and the mouse is like that until the fifth, or to fourth, or to fifth generation, completely depressed. And when you put this mouse on the water, and the normal mouse on the water, the normal mouse swim, it fight to survive. But the mouse who was was submitted to very extreme violence, stopped to swim after 2-3 minutes and let him impressed by that. And I'm not saying that the trauma can be transmitted, because it's a study of epigenetic problem, but it's just a question. I don't think that trauma can be transmitted, but it can be maybe by other things, by your behavior in your family, by how you talk or don't talk about your history. Have a lot of people who experience a genocide problem or extreme violence, like rape, father rape children, for example. It's very violent, and incest, and also by the moral authority. It's violent, exert press to you by moral authority also. That is a condition, extreme violence, and how you deal with that. Art can participate in this process, how to deal with that. That why repeat it, yes, repeat, yes, but how to do it, how to transmit it, how to tell it. A lot of young people in Cambodia, Cambodian community start to watch my film, because when I start making film 35 years ago, no Cambodian in theater, no one. People of my community did not want to see my film, and when they can, they they told me frankly, stop to make this kind of film. Stop it. And sometimes they send me letter. And now the audience are very young. They are 25 or less than 30 years. That's these people are born after the Khmer Rouge time, and they don't know their history. In fact, that the parents do not want to tell them.
Yeah.
No.
Yes,
That was a magical moment. There was one moment when Site 2, I think it was shown again at the La Clé, the cinema in Paris, about 15 years ago, maybe. And you said, no, I'm not going. So I went to talk or something, but you came also. And it was amazing because it's the first time in the past 35 years when all of a sudden it was this magical moment when there were young Cambodians in the audience for one of your films. It was an amazing moment. It felt like something had evolved all of a sudden. It was the generational change. It was the new generation that was now interested. What went on? You know, they really wanted to know. It was a beautiful key moment, I think, in the films we've done together that time. It just felt like a door was opening. The door was opening.
Yeah, but in Long Beach also, you know, when
Yes.
I was in Los Angeles and I screened it I went to Long Beach at the same time because there's a lot of Cambodian people who live there. And at the end of the film, there's a young woman who come on the stage. He say, "Uncle," because we call older people uncle. Uncle, your missing picture is mine. It's very touching. It's so okay. Take take it all. But the difficulty is not repeating. You know that how to repeat it.
But repeating in music, it only gets better when you repeat and you repeat and you repeat. Practicing is repeating. Music will only improve. So I think memory, it has to get better the more repetition. That's what improves, what gets us smarter, I think, and better.
But if you analyze very closely my work, you will see how many times the same image and sometimes the same music. I use it again and again and again. He composed for me new music. Sometimes I just I want just to repeat it.
It's exactly.
Yeah, to repeat it, you know.
Surprises, you know. Rithy, that's from Panh. That was like. Yeah.
It's not by accident.
You go.
No, I just want to say that I would like to have some questions from the audience because I'm certain that there might be questions, but of course I don't want to force that on the audience. But so, who might have questions for Rithy, Panh and Marc Marder? There are a number of students who have studied your film, and some of them have studied two of your films, Un barrage, Contre le Pacifique, and L'image manquante. So I would be curious to know.
Barrage, it's very strange film, Barrage.
Yes.
Because it's not very Jurassian.
No, but that's what makes it interesting.
People wonder. So a lot of people shout at me when we release it because they wait or for Jean-Jacques Annaud film or for Marguerite Duras film. It's not it's not all of this, you know. It's I want to talk about the colonialism time, you know, colonialist time, you know. It's not really about the but it's the style of the Duras cinema or the style of you know, or very l'image, comment on dit ça, l'image des films coloniales sur les colonies.
Oh, the nostalgic colonial images of that time. And you're really, because there's this in
But
Duras.
it's Jean-Jacques film is films about sex. It's not Duras, Michael Duras novel.
Yeah.
If you watch well.
I absolutely
it's
love
it's an Asian guy who go to bed with a girl or a white girl,
Yeah. But I think your take on it is extremely interesting, and also the fact that you infuse it with references to the Cambodian history, and it's like you have you see another side of that story of colonialism.
Yeah, because
that is not present in the past, of course.
Because sometimes we cannot talk about the present. We cannot talk about the land grabbing now, or from the very poor people, or how we do not need a gun or plane to build a colony now. We just need to send to the poor country the big company, and to take the land from the poor people.
Yeah.
And it's in this point of view, from this point of view, Duras is still very modern, Yes. But she's come from the colonial people,
The colonial
side, yeah, colonial side.
But we studied it in another class in relation with Duras' text, and the students really love the ways in which you change the gaze also, or the relation to the colonial history. So I think that's something that is very important, and I see a continuity between your film, because there is the question of the memory and there's the question of the land, and the land being the land of the dead, but also the land that is being, which is being the object of grabbing, which is being preyed by forms of neocolonialism. And I think that's also interesting, because L'Image Manquante is also about this. Just the materials of the clay, of the earth.
You need to watch also. France is my mother country for this thema of colonialism.
Yeah.
And you replace France by Chinese, you have the same thing in Cambodia or in Africa today.
The land of La Terre des Amérantes also. It's the company, the French company. Yeah, it's the same story.
Yes. And I have one question as well for you, Marc, drawing from or following up our discussion on Un Barrage in relation to the missing picture. Was it different for you to compose for a fictive film, for a fiction, than for a documentary? For Rithy?
No.
Oh, no, there was no difference.
This film in our whole film, all the films we've done together, this film was more, I had an orchestra, I had a budget, so I could record with a symphonic orchestra of 80 people around, and so there was a very different, I really wanted to try and make an orchestral score. It's very different than, well, there were other fictions with Rithy for Arte where I had a little orchestra also, but it was very different approach, yes, because I tried to write more like a classical film score on Barrage. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was much in that way. I really thought the film, maybe it didn't need it, maybe it was a bad idea, but I don't know. I think it worked okay.
I think it worked.
But it was a very different approach than our normal approach with Rithy, even for the fictions,
And so, Rithy, what did you think of this more symphonic or orchestra-like music, Un Barrage? What made you accept for this film?
Yes, very interesting for Marc because I don't edit anymore. His music, but it's less work for me.
Let me alone. I did give demos, I gave maquettes,
yeah,
demos.
so you know when you have an orchestra, what I can do? Nothing. So I put all what he did, what he composed.
It's hard to, yeah. With Rithy's film, it's very difficult to, because we work in a very special way. It's a very specific way of doing music while Rithy is doing the film, but it can last months. So it's, if you're a classical film musician, you have a budget, you have a date when you'll record music for the whole film, and it's done. With Rithy, it's really impossible because our budget is not defined and we just keep going. We just keep doing music. So it was very interesting in that way. So with most projects, we don't do that at all. Yeah. We don't, that was very special, yeah.
But sometimes we just don't have money.
Also, yeah. Well,
sometimes for a documentary film, sometimes people don't mind a lot about the music, so they buy they buy the music. It's cheaper than record it.
Many times.
And so it's very small budget onto line music for budget. For music, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, and so what people do, they buy the copyright from
the musical
from a website or something, I don't know. So that is a way to kill also the documentary film or the author film, that you don't work anymore with the musician because you make documentary film, because but it seemed for me that the in documentary film it's very interesting work in progress until the end.
Yeah.
It's not like feature film that you have a script, you have scenario, you know exactly what is the music, where the music go, all it's planned. And in a documentary film, no. You did a white page and you try to write something. Sometimes it's not good, so go back again and write again, and the music come and add, to the image, to the sound. It's much more interesting for us as composer or film director. But the problem is, I don't know what happened in US, but in France, the budget for music documentary film is very small. Sometimes I tell Marc, please do something for me in your bathroom. Go into your bathroom and lock the door and do it something, put a micro and do it something.
Even much of the, I loved it. Much of the missing picture was done. I did at home. A lot of the music for the missing picture I did at home. But then my editor friend in Hollywood, who loved the film, and I went to LA, and he said, "Yeah, I told people at the Academy," because he asked me where was it, where did you do the music? And I said, in Paris. So he would tell people, "Oh yeah, it was done in Paris," but he didn't say it was done in my living room. He said, so people said, "Wow, nice studio." Funny.
That's why we don't like very much tell the truth when you ask us question how to produce film. Because
well,
because it's the same thing. If you ask me what kind of camera I use for missing picture, it's a $2,000 camera. It depends how you put the light, how you frame it, how you use your camera. It's not professional camera. We have not money for missing picture. Yeah. We have not money, and we have not money for the music. We have not money for nothing.
But out of those techniques of poverty, as the new wave would have said, you are making magnificent films. So it's It's
Yes,
so
after
the
yes, I said,
resources, the
okay.
craftsmanship, the inventivity, the creativity, that with very
No, but yeah,
materials, so you can still create wonderful, wonderful pictures. So
yes, but we are tired now. We are old now, Sometimes we need maybe go back to some comfort, A good camera is not bad, but sometimes it's also good to try studio with sometimes I dream to give Marc again a studio with conductor with it's not you cannot. I like very much the work we have done together, but I also like to renew it sometimes. The power of our work is this one is never the same. People don't know. It's not the only genocide. It's not. I used to say that I'm not the director of genocide film.
Yeah.
It's really cinema. It's not genocide. It's not trauma. Yes, we tell the story of trauma, but if you look at the creativity in all this film, you have the diverse form approach, or I can take one by one and debate and talk how we use music, how what is the form of the film, where's the camera, it's very, very creative. It's why we are still capable of doing this kind of work, because you see my late friend Claude Lanzmann, he put 10 years to big film. After he had money, put the money many times. It take him many times to make another film from the old footage. It's when you reach the level at the shore, it's very difficult to do something after that. Yeah, very difficult.
When do you decide, Rithy and Marc, that the film is done, that the process is over, or maybe it's never done, I don't know, but when do you decide that you stop?
When producers stop to send money.
Okay, I see. So
stop to send money, and okay, we stop, go back to France, we go to studio to finalize the studio. But since we have no script, nothing, when we make a film like Missing Picture, at the beginning, Missing Picture, it's when I start to make Missing Picture, I told Catherine that, I cannot make a 1 hour and 20 minutes with a figurine that cannot move. This rest fixed like this. But I really like to do something with this figurine, because at the first time I find a form that fit to the story I want to talk about. It's only of my own story when I was a child, or part of my story, a chapter. And one day I asked one of my assistants to produce me models of my home. I never be back at my home again. Then, but since I left my home in 1975, I cannot go back again. So I would like, but I cannot. And so I asked him to produce the model, but he is not an architect, so he built me a model that the window is much more bigger than the door. And he so forget it. Sculpt me a small little child and we build his universe around him, his environment, TV, fridge, room, bed, etc. So he asked me, "You want me to do it in stone, in wood?" No, go to the river, take some clay, and you produce something. Yeah, we did it when we were children,
Mhm.
We have not toys that today. If you want to play, to tell a story, you go to the river and you produce your figurine and you tell the story. It'll go like that. So when I start to sculpt the little child, say, wow, it's like it's so pure beauty. It's look like Miro or something like that, Picasso. So I say, oh, stop. Let me think. We change the film. We build all, and it's happened in my office. I in my room. I sleep there. I shoot here. They're my bed. They're my office. And so we script because it's a I can't tell my story because it's a take with hand, dry with the sun. It comes from the earth, and we don't cook it. And when we finish, the clay figurine go back to clay. It's like a cycle of life.
Yeah.
Good idea. I can't talk about that. I can't talk about those people and they die again and they go back to the nature again. And so they start like that, so I say we change, we tell another story.
Yeah, and
so the sculptor do not know. The sculptor did not know. My assistant did not know the Khmer Rouge. He was too young. So I spent night to tell him what is the Khmer Rouge, what we are look like, like you direct an actor or actress, but you direct clay and his finger. So it's that kind of hurt, what kind of attitude when you hurt or you're hungry or you walk at the in the to build a dam in the Akai, and we go step by step, and little by little I complicate his work more and more, So, and after now I want to make a rain, something like that, so it's very difficult to make rain in the office. So we try to find a solution with very we learn to with a spirit that nobody can stop us to talk our story. It's not the dictatorship, it's not our nightmare, it's not the money, it's not technique. Nobody can stop us. We will go to tell our story and we will create something. That's why I insist a lot by the creativity in this group, because without this creativity, I have few words to say. I become again to repeat genocide. No, I'm really a guy who likes to live, who like people who are not easy every time, but it's okay. It's very important for us to keep this artistic creativity alive.
I would like just to maybe end on, and of course I would like to welcome questions, but to end on this very arresting final sequence of the missing picture of you have these clay figurines that's being buried and unearthed, and buried and unearthed, and buried and unearthed. And the music that goes with it, and the sonorous environment that goes with it. Because for me, that's one of the most startling cinematographic image or sequence I've ever seen. And it's simple, but it's
Yes,
so strong.
very simple, very simple, very.
It's like a Freudian image, you know, of the trauma, of the
Yeah.
dark part being repeated and repeated, and but yeah. But you decided to choose on that, to end on that image. So
No, when we are shooting, no, I don't know. You don't know that we end like this. But sometimes, you know, you have some grammar of cinema, and you can find this grammar better, not in better way, not in Marvel Studio thing, but in Vertov film. You go to Vertov film, and the modernity of the how to edit, how to use the camera, how to fade crossing, fade out, fade in, etc. It's all the grammar is told already with Vertov, Eisenstein, or Fritz Lang, Metropolis, the guy like that, you know. And if you learn very well this grammar and you use it, the grammar of cinema, and no need more effect. After that, it's a poetry who talk about that better than the image too much voyeur, you know. I don't like that. That's why when people ask me to make a film about the Khmer Rouge, I just, until now, maybe I will find solution. I don't know how to direct actor to kill, or how to direct actor, actress to be a victim. That is my problem. That why the figurine, clay figurine, is a magic solution for me. That and after that, by accident, sometimes it's to fade it to this, fade it to that, you know. And after, of course, this impossibility to mourn. It's the idea of the impossibility to make you mourning. That whatever you do, the face come back again and again and again. And you need to just to look at them face to face, accept it. It's and to tell people who they are. That all these things is not come from. Frankly, to my student, I don't ask them to watch many film. You know, I ask them to watch very few film, and I ask them to read poetry a lot. I ask them to watch photography. I like very much photo, or go to museum to watch a Munch or Edouard Munch or something like that. If you are gushing, how to express it, how to use color, how to use the perspective in your frame. I ask very few. I give very few film to my student to watch it, and then after that, you create your own poetry with these images, and you shoot it. And after you shoot it, you edit it. After edit it, somebody tell you, it's done already before. There's every time somebody do it before you. So don't worry about that. Just do your film. You make your film.
I think we are approaching the end. Gabriel, if you have a question, or if everybody's very silent.
No, just I was very impressed by the resonance of the music in the missing picture. It's a really beautiful. It's like a medium from my sensitivity.
Well, because he went very far back in this film. If you don't hate me for that, Marc. 2 times he went very far. The first one is for Rice People. He went very far in his composing art. And the second one, I think that with Missing Picture, that I put these 2 work on the top of the top, because there is I don't know where he find it. Very far, very deep, very. That is also the how to combine it. You know, when you send a picture to the composer, send him this. Sometime in silence, sometime with. Something that he can nourish it, you know, and you must be very reactive with what he's proposed to you. When tell him, no, oh good, no, much. Sometimes I mean that director don't listen to the music most of the time. It's put, but I surprise myself also to do something like that. Just don't listen enough. But since you edit the music, you can hear something very good in something that disturbing. That then this one, I call him directly. You can take it out or put it down in your mix.
No.
Exactly this note, but I don't know what is this. I cannot read the note. I cannot write. I just tell him the color, the time, the night, the sun, etc. And this one, can you take it out a little bit? Can you mix another version? And he do it and send it back. So, oh, well, that's good. Oh, or replace it by another one, etc. You know, it's that he edit the film with me sometimes. That's why this kind of works is with the missing picture is rare, very rare and very unique.
I have one final question, and I think then we will need to end. Hearing you talking about the process of your work, the two of you, I was wondering if there were parallels between this kind of collaboration you have with Marc for the music of the film and the collaboration you have with Christophe Bataille in the writing of your book.
Yes.
It's a huge question. But for me, it's not, you know, there's something quite significant that you are working with duo. Like there is a very works of art you are experiencing with, you are exploring.
Yeah. Yes. First, you as director, I have strong confidence in the capacity of the people who I collaborate with them. I'm asking for something, not them. I suggest something, not you know. Je suis demandeur.
You're asking for things.
Yeah. Not them. You know that we don't inverser. It's very
reverse the question.
Yeah, don't reverse it. And I try just to understand what I ask first and what I get back. I trust them. Because when you have some Marc is okay, 35 years. Sometimes I don't need to talk with him too much, just a few words ago. But when I start to write, when I start to write with Christophe Bataille, for example, it's very difficult to tell your story to somebody. And I know how to read, but I don't know really how to write. So I need somebody to write for me or with me, and that I can read the words. But those people like Christophe and Marc, they have not ego. They are here. They are here for a book, for a film. They don't mind about me. They don't mind about them. If it doesn't work, they start it again. They don't mind. That is our attitude, you know. When you have to build a team, I advise strongly the people to build a team like that, and you get it, keep it, because it's waste time to change people. I admire film director that change many DOP, many script writer, etc. But I cannot do that. Really, frankly, I'm afraid of people. I'm afraid to talk to people that I don't know how to talk to them sometimes. So with Christophe, for example, for the elimination, for example, the first book we wrote together, it take 125 versions. It's huge. And at the end, he don't know. He just tell me, it's never finished. Maybe you have to finish it someday. And I say, oh, let me 3 months and go back again and go again. It's very complicated to end a film it's not, I want, how can I explain that? It's not to reach the totality of beautiful thing or no, it just, I'm wrong or not. I'm in the wrong road or not, wrong path or not, or is I'm wrong somewhere, how to correct it, how to, Christophe, he's a novelist. He's very, very famous. He wrote many books.
On Vietnam.
On Vietnam, on many things, But I have, he's a publisher, so he's a very high level culture of literature. So who I am to tell him how to write? But I don't want him to write long phrase. I told him very short phrase, very short phrase. No too much adjective, for example, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's very, very, it work like film, When I work with Christophe, I work with producing the film.
No, it's quite arresting, the similarity between the film editing. When I read the text you've written together, and the note, in fact, reminds me of Chris Marker, if I may say. But I think we might need to end. Would you like to show an excerpt, maybe, from, because Marc, you sent us many images and clips, which we haven't had time to watch. Would you like to end with that?
Sure.
And which one? That's
if there are only 2 clips, I think I only, but
hopefully this will work, because with screen sharing, sometimes it's difficult.
Yes.
We don't see it.
Okay, I try to.
We don't see it. You have to go back to,
Mon enfance à moi, c'était les studios de cinéma, avec un voisin réalisateur.
And there's also the wonderful voice of your actor, who is the same actor in Un Barrage.
Yes, but he is a mathematician teacher, professor.
Yeah, but he has such a wonderful voice that is
but
very well used.
The mathematician guy, they have very logic in their mind. It's very easy to ask them to read text, because comedians are complicated, but feeling or not feeling, etc. But with the mathematician in the pure mathematics, the très haut niveau, he teach at the Sciences Polytechnique in France.
Oh, okay, I see.
It's a temple, So it's very easy to work with him. Just talking like a math, and he go.
J'aimais ces
Can you?
Où de belles filles semblaient danser pour moi.
Slow.
Je ramassais des bouts de pellicule que je regardais dans des boîtes avec une petite lumière. Puis ce monde a été détruit. Les cinémas fermés, les artistes exécutés, les chanteurs, les techniciens, les réalisateurs envoyés au champ. Un film Khmer Rouge, c'est toujours un slogan.
Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you very much. It was nice to end with a clip, even though the rhythm was not right because it's screen sharing on Zoom, but still, I think that it was really nice to hear your music and to see the images. Thank you so much, Marc, Marder and Rithy, Panh, for this conversation, for your time, for your generosity. I wish our students would have asked questions, but I think they were impressed and a bit intimidated.
Even
it's not easy,
Zoom.
you know. but thank you so much. I think it's a very rich experience for everybody, and I got to know more your work, which I'm extremely interested in for many years now. So
it was a privilege.
It was really a gift.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, you two, for organizing this. Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
And have a wonderful evening in France.